over headlines where headlines are served me.
How's everyone doing this morning, this evening, this night, wherever you're at, whatever time it is? Welcome once again to Bourbon Over Headlines, where your headlines are served neat. Everybody, make sure your glass is poured. So today, I got some feedback. You guys want to know more, like what bourbon I'm drinking every week. Last several episodes I've been drinking Jefferson's Rye until I get done. This time I got Horse Soldier, which I've never heard of. I was looking for a bourbon to replenish what I finished with the Jefferson's Rye. This one caught my eye. As you can see, the labels are really good. It's a really great horse mirroring up with a soldier on it. Well, just reading the back, which is always great, read the label to describe it, and I'll read it to you right now. It says, Horse Soldier Bourbon Whiskey is uniquely complex and aged in charred New American oak barrels. Every bottle of Horse Soldier Bourbon is a piece of American history. It's carefully crafted by Green Berets who answered America's call just days after 9/11. So it's 9/11/2001 for all those overseas. That's the day that the Twin Towers came down and the American War on Terror started. With a daring assertion into northern Afghanistan on horseback. This brave and unconventional act earned them the moniker the Horse Soldiers. So it is produced and bottled in Somerset, Kentucky. So I figured I would try it. It's 42.5% alcohol, 87 proof. So I'm gonna leave this here, drinking it, just explaining it to you. So that's kind of great. And actually, this is a complete coincidence. If you even think about it, dovetails into one of my stories that I'll get to later. Okay, but right now we need to know where we're at. So we're in North Carolina today. So yes, we are in North Carolina today. High Point, okay? Now High Point, North Carolina, everybody, if anyone from High Point's listening, this is to you. It's got its name because it was the highest point of a railroad confluence. So the intersection of the North Carolina Railroad between Goldsboro and Raleigh, or the Great Western Railroad. It was incorporated in 1859. Okay. Now this is the only city or town in North Carolina that lies within 4 counties: Davison, Forsyth, Guilford, and Randolph. Okay. So I always like to do this, a little bit of population. The current population is over 120,000. In 1920, that census, it was 14,302. In 1930, it jumped up to 36,000 plus. A decade, it's a lot. So, and big industry place. So that's a big on that. So if you've heard of High Point, you probably heard of it because of a bunch of stuff. It was, and it still is known as the furniture capital, at least of America. Well, if you're into luxury yachts and fishing boats, Hatteras Yacht Factory was founded here, okay, which is a luxury yacht and sport fishing manufacturer. High Point Furniture Manufacturing Company, okay, furniture. We're gonna have a lot of furniture here because now Thomasville. Everyone heard of Thomasville Furniture? That's located here along with some other, but that's the main one most people would know is Thomasville. That was located here. Thomasville still exists as a furniture company, but it closed its door. It closed as a family-run business, and the people on it, they got bought by a conglomerate, I believe in 2012. But it was founded here in 1904. The Firch brothers, Firch, F-I-R-C-H, founded Thomasville. And also, still to this day, in 1909, began the Southern Furniture Expo. In 1921, it was the Southern Furniture, in 1921 they built the building, the Southern Furniture Building, and this hosts the largest furniture expo in the world. Every year. They have a building for it. It's like a 5-story building, 6-story building. It's a furniture expo. They have it every year. It's a big thing. I've never been to it. I didn't even know it existed until now. This is the beauty of this. Maybe you knew it because you live in the area, but if you didn't, Furniture Expo. So if you ever want to figure out what furniture is coming out for the next year, if you can get a ticket, go see it. If not, we'll have to wait like everybody else, which I found hilariously funny. There's a Furniture Expo. So just some notable people over the years that were from here, born here, or lived in the area. Bam Adebayo with the Miami Heat, a current basketball player. He put up 83 points recently. Luke Appling, which is a shortstop for the White Sox, Hall of Fame baseball player. And Mr. Coltrane, John Coltrane, from High Point, North Carolina. You know, he's a famous jazz musician. Those are just a few. There's a bunch of others, but those are the ones that people probably would know. Across, you got baseball, you got that. Oh, before I forget, behind me, do you see? I got a scarf. I got a soccer scarf from the local team, the local sporting team, Jack's Sporting Club, which is a soccer club, men and women. And I put these scarves on because, as we know, right now, as this is being filmed, the World Cup is being played. So I got a scarf on this side and a scarf on this side. You can't really see it, but it's on that side. I'm trying to flank them, but didn't quite work because of the way I had to orientate in the room. But that's one thing I love about soccer. Sorry to get off tangent here, but they have scarves. I don't know, baseball, baseball, football, basketball, they don't have like those type of scarves. Remember, I would love that. You could put that on your wall, you can hang it over your couch, whatever. You could support your team in winter. Okay, because basketball jerseys really aren't made for winter, neither are baseball jerseys. Football jerseys aren't either. You got those big jackets. Hockey jerseys are because they play on ice. But even hockey doesn't have the scarves I know of. Now, I'm not a big soccer fan. I understand the game. I understand the basis of the game. I can watch a game and not be lost. And I'm an American, so go USA in the World Cup. Hopefully, they can finally win one. Don't think they will, but who knows? Stranger things have happened in the world of sports. And when this is being filmed, the New York Knicks have just won the NBA championship, the NBA Finals. So congratulations to the New York Knicks, their first championship since 1973. So let's go with that. So now the longest drought would be still the Jets, the New York Jets. They won in Super Bowl III as their last Super Bowl championship, which was 69. So we're still waiting on the Jets, 69-70. So we're still waiting on the Jets. That's the longest streak in New York of any team that's won a championship, which, believe it or not, is kind of weird, but it is the Jets. So that ends that. So back to my notes in a minute. Let's get to some stories. First story here is this headline is a little misnomer, and I'm going to tell you why. Police looking for West Virginia man. When I say police are looking for a West Virginia man, what's the first thing that comes to mind? Guarantee it's not what the story's about. If you're like me and you first saw this without reading the story and you just saw the headline, they're looking for him for a crime. He's escaping a crime, right? Is that the first thought that came to your head? If it is, take a sip of whatever you're drinking. But it's not that. High Point Police have been notified on the lookout for Ira Swigger and the family, which right there should tell you it's not probably someone fleeing. They don't usually take their family. Mr. Swigger's not wanted for any crime in a misdemeanor or felony. They just want to notify him because his father-in-law died, which I don't know. Maybe he doesn't want to know that. Usually it's the mother-in-law that gets the bad rap, which I don't know why. I'm filming this on June 14th, so it'll probably come out that day. My mom's birthday's tomorrow. I just took her out to brunch today. Well, me and my wife took her out for brunch today. So happy birthday, Mom. Hope there's many more coming your way. So congratulations on another year around the sun. But they're looking for a search because his father-in-law died. They need to inform him. Now, today's world, this is a cell phone call. This is an instant message or a DM. somewhere. We always have something in our hands. We have a phone, internet, usually at our fingertips. So the police wouldn't have to get involved on the onset. Now, if for some reason their phone wasn't working, they had no internet, then maybe. But usually at some point, the person has access, or someone in that family has access to internet in the palm of their hand, that they would know the father-in-law was dead before the police got involved. So it's an interesting way to ruin a camp. They were camping. It says they're camping. They're camping in the area. Mr. Swigger is driving a two-door black coupe, or Buick coupe. My bad, Buick. Has dark hair and wears. So he's a guy who's just got some dark hair, driving a Buick with some glasses. Now this might be, if they're driving on the interstate, this might be like something they put on, you know, like they have silver alerts or whatever over the DOT signs in every state. Might be something there. Mr. Swigger, please report to nearest station or nearest phone, call family. It might be that they can't get a hold of them. That might be like an alert they put up there. But definitely wouldn't be the police involved unless it was just they couldn't get a hold of them after like several days, and then there's like, well, we need a welfare check. That's just the difference. This is in the paper because they're actually looking for them. Whereas this is a simple DM on Instagram or a text message or a cell phone call because we all have cell phones or whatever it is. That's exactly what that is today. So this wouldn't get to the paper unless it became a bigger story. This just happens to be a bigger story. And right below it, I didn't even see this. It just happens how I cut it out. From New York, because again, papers, whether they're High Point, whatever, they have stories from other places. I just went to get this story and I saw the story below it. It's an interesting story just on spec. Seems if the marital troubles of George Washington Rector, a famous restaurateur, should be a boon for housewives. Why would you ask that the marital troubles of a restaurateur and chef be a boon to housewives everywhere? Well, let's find out, shall we? He says he's got to reveal some more of his famous recipes, cash in on them in order to pay the $500 a month alimony. So basically he got divorced, and so he needs to raise some quick cash, or he's got to sell some recipes. So today this might be a GoFundMe, or today he would they wouldn't put this in the paper. This wouldn't be a story in the paper. It might be if it was someone super famous, but it would not be just sitting. It wouldn't be reported like this. It would be like, well, he's a famous restaurant. He can't sell one of his restaurants. He doesn't have enough money from his restaurants to pay the alimony. Or we would know why the divorce happened. They would have to dig into this guy's life. We would have 5 articles about what this guy did, how the marriage collapsed. That's what would happen today. Because we just can't report a story with the facts and just say this guy's doing it for this. Okay? Got to sell some recipes to help help pay his alimony. All right. This is my absolute favorite story of the day. Now remember, this is, I'm doing this in the 1920s and 1930s. This is Prohibition, which was 1919, I believe, to 1933. And that ranged at about decade, 14 years was Prohibition. So in America, Prohibition was a time where you couldn't sell alcohol, drink alcohol. Well, you couldn't sell it or produce it or anything. In the United States, that came up with the bootlegging. Have you ever heard of Al Capone? All those guys, those were bootleggers. This is how moonshine started. They made it in stills that got raided if they couldn't do it, so they can get moonshine. It was illegal to produce, manufacture, sell any alcohol, and in a lot of places it was illegal to consume it. Now here where I live, there's a bar called the Volstead, which is a great bar. Me and my wife, we need to go there one night. It's a Prohibition era bar. It's feeding like that, so I need to go there one night. Maybe I'll even do a short from there. Get a drink from there. Do a short. If you want to see that type of content, email me. Tell me where in the area. I'm in Jacksonville before, so places you'd like to see me go. What type of content you'd like to see from the area. Regarding that, like places like the Volstead, other places that showcase bourbon, whatever. Maybe some historical places. Letting me do some content. Might be short form. Might be just a couple minutes here or there. It might be a longer form. If you'd like to see that type of content, I want to start a Patreon, and that's the type of content you'll see on your Patreon, along with history of bourbon distilleries, maybe bourbon manufacturers themselves, distilleries, bourbon companies, a little bit of history of bourbon. There'll be videos like that. Anytime I find something in bigger cities, so your New Yorks, your Chicagos, your LAs, your Bostons, those are going to be on Patreon. If you like that type of content and you're willing to, you think that's a good thing for Patreon, I'm going to start Patreon up and start putting that content on there. Just give me a couple weeks to get it all set up, put some content on there, and then I'll tell you the price structure for it. All right? But what started all this is a miniature bar room was unearthed in the cab of a Norfolk and Western freight train. It was at number 87. When an officer searched the cab and found about 3 gallons of whiskey, always whiskey, and a large number of empty bottles, jars, and containers. The train was in charge of Captain T.W. Epling, who was placed under a $500 bond. So, basically, this is kind of cool. Now, this is something that, in today's world, isn't illegal, but I guarantee you someone's had this idea. If there isn't one, if you know about a train car, an old school train car that's been converted to like a speakeasy type bar, tell me about it. Tell me your experience. If it's within a range I can go to, maybe I'll go to it and order some bourbon, maybe do a collab with them. But this is, back then this is illegal, but this is actually a great idea. Turn a cool little train car into a bar. Things like this are done all the time in the world. So if you wanted a new, interesting idea that hasn't been done that much, to start something unique, create a bar in a train car, in a freight car. I'm sure you'll get a lot of people doing it, especially if it's a cool looking bar. So that's my favorite story of the day. I just love it when that is going on. As I said, there is a story that coincidentally sort of tangential connected to the bourbon. So I said the bourbon this week is Horse Soldier. It was founded by Green Berets who went to Afghanistan right after 9/11. So they were veterans. So this story, which I found before I even found the bourbon, is Books for Disabled Heroes. So Congress approves $100,000 for reading materials for soldiers confined to hospitals. So this is just a great idea, whether it's Congress doing it or if it's private funds, charities. The American Legion participated. Basically, soldiers who are in hospitals or in homes where they were there rehabbing, they didn't have books to read. They didn't have access to the books. So it says here $100,000 for 23,000 disabled veterans. Back then, that was about 3 to 4 books to read. I'm sure you can buy them in bulk and get it for about the same price today. The American Library Association, which is still in charge of the library. So there's libraries in these hospitals, but they had old books or didn't have that many books or enough books. Because remember, this is 1921. This story came out. This is just after World War I. So a lot of these guys, World War I was a horrible war. Some of these guys lost legs, lost limbs. Who knows? Gruesome injuries that I couldn't imagine, are unimaginable. So I'm probably sure there's libraries in hospitals today, but this would be something great to do for veterans groups. There's a Wounded Warrior, whatever, veterans groups, whether it's for them in hospitals or for them as part of their recovery, have them read books. Get a bunch of books together. If you want to do a drive, this is something you can do great. If you want to do something unique for a veterans group, something unique as a fundraiser, go around, raise a bunch of money to buy books to help out veterans for PTSD, anything that way they have something they can read, they can go into that world and might help them a little bit move on in their recovery. This is a great idea. I probably think this is still going on in some form today. I thought this was a great story. It's a heartwarming story. Congress, whether it's Congress or whether it's someone who does it on their own. If you are a veteran, thank you for your service again, and can't thank you enough for what you've done to this country. Whether you served in a war, whether you just served domestically, whatever. Thank you for everything you did. Hopefully, this program is still going on in some form. If not, we need to reinstate it, or maybe we need to get together. Someone needs to start a fundraiser so we can get books to veterans to help with their recovery from all sorts of injuries. Mental injuries, whether it's PTSD, whether it's physical injuries, losing limbs or whatever in their therapy, they have a chance in their downtime to read a book. so they're not constantly thinking about what they went through. So that's a great story. So I live in Peninsula, live in Florida. It's a peninsula. Gulf on one side and Atlantic on the other side. So occasionally we have stories that pop up, and even in North Carolina they do it. But this story is in North Carolina. It was from New Orleans, which is on the Gulf Coast. Cocaine found on ship. So we've had that before, where the cocaine's been found on a ship, or bricks of cocaine have washed up on shore after a ship was sunk, whether it was sunk naturally, whether it was sunk by an outside force, who knows. This cocaine value of $35,000 was found in the bunkers of the American steamship West Torrent by customs found it. So it was stuck in, someone was trying to smuggle it in, and they stuck it in through customs. So $35,000 today. So $35,000 in 1921 is about $655,000 if I did my math. I put it in an inflation calculator. So that's a lot of cocaine. It's a lot of cocaine. But we're still finding cocaine. We're finding tons of cocaine on, not tons, but we're finding cocaine off the shores of Florida and other places that are coming from South America, whatever they're coming from. The ship sinks or whatever, or they try to sneak it in, we find it through customs. Still a problem today. 105 years later, we're still finding cocaines on ships. So it's a problem back then, it's a problem now. I guess it'll always be a problem. People always try to find stuff illegal to bring into the country, whether it's drugs, whether it's animals, antiques, whatever. If they can't get it illegal, they'll try a way to do it. If you want it in bad enough, you'll try to find a way to do it. So this would be in the paper today. But if this story was written today, we would know a lot more about the steamship company. We would probably know who the FBI would get involved. Everybody would be involved. We know every agency involved, ATF, DEA, everybody would be involved. Some of these agencies weren't around. The FBI really wasn't around yet. It was forming, but it wasn't around. Don't think ATF and DEA were around yet. So it was just customs doing it. So in today's world, the customs inspectors were around, but the DEA would take over, the FBI would take over. This would be a massive investigation. Don't know what happened to it. I tried to look for it, but I couldn't find a follow-up. So a little bit. Another one which I find, a couple more stories here. Before I forget, like, subscribe to my channel, hit that notification bell so you get all these amazing stuff, all these amazing shows I do, all these amazing episodes. Also, I looked at my analytics. Over 95% of you who watch do not subscribe, so just help me out a little bit. Help me afford some bourbon. Before I get a sponsorship. So help me afford my bourbon. Help me afford to keep this going. Just subscribe so that I can keep doing this. And if you're watching, why aren't you subscribing? What's preventing me from just hitting a little tiny button? So do that. Also, two things. I have done a collaboration with my amazing wife on her channel, Moondog Tarot. So go over there, watch that. And in the coming weeks, probably a couple weeks, she'll be on this show, and we'll do a Bourbon Over Headlines collab with her. Probably do a town that's known for mysticism and stuff like that. That could be New Orleans, it could be Salem. I haven't figured out which one yet, but it'll be one of those two. It might be both, I don't know. So stay tuned for that. You'll see my amazing wife who puts up with me despite my faults all the time. And amazingly doesn't drive me to drink more than I do. So I'm pretty good on that front. To all the wives out there, this is to you who put up with husbands who don't always listen when they should. But remember, her channel, watch, subscribe, like to her channel. She's closing in on 500 subscribers, which means she can start getting monetized on her end, which is amazing on that. So all my new subscribers, and to all the people watching who aren't subscribed, just go ahead and hit that subscribe button, like, and comment. Again, comment about what type of content you want me to do. As I said, I'm thinking about expanding, going to places that feature bourbon on the channel, do some content there. but that'll probably be on Patreon. And on my Patreon again, I might, maybe if I can get them, I might have someone interview someone, record an interview with someone who works at a distillery, talk about that brand, and we'll put it on a Patreon. But we'll see what's going on. Just tell me if that's something you would like, if something that's unique for you. What type of content do you want? And so, with that being said, I have an interesting story here. So, headline: Widow of Sheriff to be tried for murder. Simple, straightforward. Sounds pretty good, right? Widow got mad. It could be a domestic thing. Maybe there was an argument. Something happened. Let's find out. So, the widow of Sheriff Sam D. Willis and his chief deputy. Love triangle going on here, where the widow and the deputy doing a little hanky-panky on the side. Who knows? We don't know. It doesn't really say. Will go on trial Thursday morning jointly on the charges of murdering him near his garage. The trial was set yesterday after the grand jury indicted both. They have been at liberty on bond since their arrests a short time apart after the mysterious slaying. Mysterious slaying. Sounds like there's a love triangle going on. They don't say it. Again, if this was done today, this would probably be plastered all over the news. Every person's like, is there a love triangle? Let's find out what was going on between the deputy. We'd be checking cell phone records. We'd be checking hotel records. We'd be checking everything, trying to figure out if these two were in it together. If they were having a little hanky-panky on the side. Who knows? I don't know. It doesn't say here. This is why I like reading sometimes stories from this time frame. They stick to the facts. They don't speculate. Sometimes they do, but they stick to the facts and they don't speculate. At least in this paper. So, all they do is stick to the facts. To me, this is a funny story. I find weird things funny sometimes. Just ask my wife. But 4-stage fight in automobile on a busy street. Okay, so 4 guys taken into custody by police, locked in jail, given names of Dan Michael, W. Slingy, W.C. Barwell, and Nick Manchal, so W.L. Slingy. Basically, while they were stopped at a traffic light, they just started having a fight. They staged a free-for-all fight between the 4 of them in the car. Why? I don't know, because it's guys. These are probably 20-year-old something. Just figure this would be fun. Let's just pretend we're fighting. I don't know. And a Chevrolet coupe. Always tell me the type of car. I've listened to stories today that say sometimes a car, and they don't give me the type of car. I'm like, what type of car is it? They tell you it's a Chevrolet. The other one said it was a Buick. So they're giving me they might not give me, like back then they didn't have like Monte Carlo and Lumina and Blazer and all the other Chevrolet brands that are out there. I'm naming old ones, I know. The Cruze, the Volt, all the Chevy. It was just a Chevrolet coupe because they just had the coupe. That's all it was. So Chevy coupe. They staged a fight. Hard Business District. It doesn't really say why. They all appeared in front of the judge. They appeared under the influence of, so they appeared drunk, under the influence of intoxicants, whether that's drugs or alcohol or whatever. Of course, they were under the influence of something. Guys under the influence of something pretending to fight. Where have you heard this story before? But this time it's in a car. Really weird. Not that much room in a car. You know, those big 1920s coupes probably had more room than some of the SUVs today. For some big cars back then. So the police were called. The 4 were charged. They were all released on bond. So they were charged and all released on bond. I found it funny that probably four drunk 20-year-olds decided to stage a fight in the middle of a street in a car. Who knows? Guys doing stupid shit since the dawn of time. That's what that story tells me. Guys with alcohol doing stupid shit. Who would have thought that? Okay, so this is an interesting. I'm a history guy. If you can't tell, this is a little bit of a history podcast. But not just U.S. history. I like world history. And a lot of this is done right after the 20s and 30s. Are the in-between war years. There's a lot of stuff going on outside. But not a lot of it made the United States papers. Some of it did. This was just a little blurb I found. It says trouble in Constantinople or is it Istanbul? Which one is it? We're going to find out in a minute when it changed from Constantinople to Istanbul. So, Turks and Bolsheviks. Okay, so if you don't know your history, the Bolsheviks were the communists, the socialists in Russia that took over that took over the Russian government, the Russian king, the Russian Tsar in 1917. Those were the Bolsheviks, led by Lenin, all them. Those were the Bolsheviks. So, and they wanted to spread their brand of socialism / communism as far as they could. Turks and Bolsheviks were reported to contemplate a vast uprising in the city, which would be accomplished by destruction of public. Why is it always buildings? Just destroy buildings. Just march in the streets and be fine. So I want to do a little bit of research on this, a little bit more. So Constantinople officially became Istanbul on March 28th, 1930. So World War ended in 1919. Treaty was signed. Turkey, or the Ottoman Empire as we knew it at that point, ended. So the official fall of the Ottoman Empire was after World War I. That was the official fall of what we consider the Ottoman Empire, one of the longest empires in history. That we don't hear that much about. So roughly, this is from 1920. So 1919 to 1923, it was the War of Turkish Independence. So you had Turkey becoming, of course, there's always going to be, you collapse an empire, something that's been around for hundreds of years, close to 1,000 years, it's going to fall. Okay? It's going to have internal strife. There's going to be some sort of civil war for power. It happened in like Yugoslavia, Croatia, Czechoslovakia, all those countries in the Balkan areas. There are now Bosnia, Croatia, Czech Republic, Slovakia, Bosnia, Herzegovina. All those were part of Soviet republics, were part of Yugoslavia and Czechoslovakia at the end of, and they started falling apart at the end of the Cold War. When the Soviets fell apart, they started having rebellions and had long wars too. So it happens all the time after you take away this empire that's been around for a long time and you're dependent on that, you have strife. So just a brief timeline here. May of 1919. So World War I ended technically 11/18. So it ended in. So this is like 6 months, 7 months after. So if you ever wondered why November 11th is either Remembrance Day or Veterans Day, because the war ended on the 11th hour on the 11th day of the 11th month in 1918. That's when they signed the armistice, which was later put into. And then they went and signed the Treaty of Versailles in 1919. So, a couple months later. So, Allied troops are occupying Constantinople. Happens all the time. You have a country that was on the losing side. The winners tend to occupy it, try to stabilize it, especially since you're calming down you're breaking down an empire. So, the Greek army, who wanted to occupy Turkey, because Greek always wanted to occupy Turkey, it's been a thing with them, landed, and that was the breaking point for the people in Turkey. It's one thing Constantinople gets allied, they understand that, but they land at, Smyrna, now called Izmir, I guess. That was the breaking point that started this war of independence. So like, enough is enough. Mustafa Kemal organized a resistance. 1920, he got a rival sultan. He joined rivals. He beat a rival sultan. The Greeks wanted to have a greater Greece, which is why they wanted the Greece islands are right there. They wanted a greater Greece. Turkey gives them more access to mainland Europe. The Turks weren't having any of it. So October 1923, the Republic of Turkey, October 1923, the Republic of Turkey is finally declared. So from 1919, they're fighting the Greeks, fighting each other. And in 1923, we had the Republic of Turkey. So the Republic of Turkey, as we know it today, is just over 100 years old. So we'll see how that one goes. That's all the stories I have for you today. Hope you're having a great day and a great night. So until next time, may you be neat out there and drink responsibly.